Hi. Bloody hell. Bit bleak out there, isn't it?
I guess in some ways the...
Hang on a minute, let me start again.
Who was that?
Oh, come on.
Too many friends, sorry. Too many friends.
Too many phones, you're right.
I guess in some way the break, as much as I think it probably came about it because you were just...
Well, maybe it is what it is, I suppose, though. But you know, it was nice to go into the break with the win, I have to tell you. And also there was one or two carrying knocks, which thankfully they've overcome them. At the minute, we only have Matt Ritchie and Big Flo injured, so we're nearing towards a full squad, which is always good for anybody, because a few of them have been out a few weeks. So in that respect, it's been okay. It's done its job.
Yeah, that must be a real boost for you, because you were very frustrated at the start of the season with the amount of injuries you had.
Well, I think that's always a problem. You know, have you only been here a few weeks and haven't seen some of them play? You know, so it was good to see them back on the training ground, what they can do. You know, Dwight Gale, Andre Yedlin in particular. Was good to see them back on the training ground again and seeing what they've got. And that can only be a good thing for us, you know, the more fit. Obviously, I've got to disappoint a few today, because when you have got that many, then you're leaving 4 or 5 behind. But that's the nature of football.
The two Longstaffs, and particularly Matty, grabbed the headlines, and rightly so, against Manchester United. How have they been in the last couple of weeks?
Well, you can imagine what the kid's been. You know, it's like a kid in a sweet shop. You know, I think it's been quite refreshing for all of us to witness the interview. That's why I picked him. His interview beamed out the television of what he's all about. It brought a refreshing humility to us all again, and it was a wonderful debut from the kid. The big thing now is obviously to try and help him and protect him and nurture him along the way, because he's got a big future ahead of him, and what a great start.
How big do you think that future is?
Well, look, with the young kids, we've seen it before now. He's got to handle all that comes, so hopefully, you know, we can help him in that respect. But certainly as far as debuts go, I mean, I don't think I've witnessed as good a debut, not just because he's scoring the goal, but that caps it off. But it was the whole way he played in the whole game. It was terrific.
You must be pleased that you made a decision to throw him in, and it's amazing how a decision like that, and then what has followed, can change the feel factor around a
Yeah. I mean, it's. Look, I just think from day one he's been knocking on the door, and it was always a case of when do I put him in, and you know, the circumstances were right. I mean, I didn't think, well, Man United live on the TV, it was all about him, and since I joined up with the squad in China a few weeks ago, he's the one that has constantly performed well in training, and his enthusiasm for it is there for everybody to see. So he deserved his chance.
I guess he keeps his place then.
How could I leave him out? How could I leave him out?
How do you see him faring against Chelsea's youngsters?
It's great to see somebody like Frank being given the opportunity, because there was a while of his generation where I didn't think any of them were going to go and go into management or coaching or whatever. And now all of a sudden, you know, Gerrard and Lampard of that generation now are doing very well. And the introduction of the young players at Chelsea, we all know how many good young players they've got, but actually to put them together and play in a certain way, you know, we've watched all week of their performances, and the young players have done terrifically well and been given an opportunity. And I think that's the big thing of the Premier League, as a young player to be given the opportunity, and Frank's been able to do that and got himself together a very, very fine group of young players.
Where do you think your two youngsters, the two Longstaffs, rank alongside him?
Well, look, it's great to see that, you know, a 19 and a 21-year-old are in our ranks, and we've got one or two others who are young too. Big Joe's only 22. We tend to forget that, you know. So there's a few young players on the pitch, and of course, you know, the big thing is obviously to keep improving, to keep your head down and make sure you keep that humility, which is vitally important.
Can I just ask you one about the contractual situation for Matty? Obviously, that's what a lot of people are speaking about, because his contract's up at the end of the season. He's free to talk to clubs within January. I guess that's
it's going to be above me, of course. Lee will be on with that, but we'll do our utmost to make sure that the one thing that we all don't want is to lose your best young players. So I'm sure we'll be all out to get that tied up. And his brother, which is vitally important. One or two are in discussions with the club at the minute, so I'm sure we'll move that along in the next week or so.
Can I just ask one more, if you don't mind, just off topic? Man United Liverpool this weekend. You saw Man United, of course, in close quarters just 2 weeks ago. Did they stand a chance at all this weekend?
Well, they've always got a chance. Man United at home are very, 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 very good, and they've got a really great record over the last few years in particular. So I expect it to be, like it always be, a bit ferocious, but a good spectacle.
Thanks, Steve.
Cheers.
Steve, we've spoken a lot about the time afforded managers these days. Just thinking about Frank Lampard at Chelsea, do you get the sense that's a slightly different situation, given the transfer ban, given the fact they lost Eden Hazard, given his status there? There's almost a little bit more...
Well, I think you'll have to go and ask Frank more than myself, of course, but I mean, all of us, especially when you're young like Frank, and he's done a year at Derby, and the one thing that you do require, of course, is time and a bit of patience. And it's been probably a whirlwind for Frank in 12 months to be going and give the opportunity of Chelsea, which he's making a fist of, which is great to see. I've just said in the other interview there, I was worried that generation, none of them were going to really come through and be managers and push their experience on. Now you've got Frank and Steven Gerrard in particular, cutting their teeth and doing a great job, which is good to see.
As you say, he's just starting out. This will be his 9th Premier League match. You just took charge of your 400th Premier League match in your career against Manchester United. Given your experience and the fact that he's just starting out, is there one piece of advice that you'd give him about management?
I think he'll have found out in the first 6 weeks what it's all about. I think he's a great lad, Frank, and he was a great player. So that experience alone gives him that respect of what Chelsea's adored by everybody there. So I think that'll afford him the bit of time. In a daft way, the big thing of all of us, what we tend to forget, is to try, if you possibly can, to enjoy it. It's a really tough job at times, and you have many sleepless nights, and it's a lonely one too. But my bit of advice would be just to try and replicate what he did as a player, which is quietly get on with his job and let the rest do the talking. I mean, he's had a wonderful impact at Chelsea already. They're on a good run, so they'll be a bit difficult not to crack, that's for sure.
With that advice in mind, are you enjoying it?
I've tried when I've been given this opportunity. The one thing I said to myself was, go and try and enjoy it if you can. And that's what I've tried to do. It's difficult times, of course, over the past few weeks, but to try and enjoy the job is key to it.
But it must, we talk about the lift that it gives the team, obviously the Tottenham result and the Manchester United result. How much of a lift?
Yeah, away from home has been, we've been a bit up and down. So we need to go, if we're going to go and get anything, we need to put in another big performance. Now, we've seen we're capable. The big thing is keeping that consistency level, which, if you're going to do well in the Premier League, you can't just keep going up and down every week. So that level of consistency, especially away from home, needs to be better. But it gives everybody a lift, just at the right time. So we know we're capable. We're going to now try and execute it if we can again.
And Newcastle have had a decent record against Chelsea in recent years, particularly at St James's Park. But remember that 2-0, thinking back to 2012, and Papis Cissé's 2 amazing goals. There's a little bit of history here that goes in Newcastle's favour recently.
Well, I haven't really looked at any favour history or whatever. I just know Chelsea away over the years is a difficult fixture. So we'll have to play very, very well. If we're going to achieve anything out of it, we'll have to make sure we put in a big performance, because Chelsea at the moment are looking very, very good.
I guess more pertinently, this season, we have seen teams go there perhaps earlier in the season, but Sheffield United springs to mind.
Yeah, Sheffield have got a result, and as I said, over the last, he's changed around formation slightly. Over the, he's played a 3 at the back occasionally, and he's played 2 holding midfield players. I think he's settled on in the last 4 games in particular a certain way which Chelsea have become accustomed to, and of course the young ones who he's brought in have done extremely well as well. So a big tough game whenever you go to Chelsea over the last 20 years in particular anyway, in the Premier League area anyway. Chelsea are always a big team.
And just wondering, Andy Carroll, obviously you mentioned Matt Rich and Florian Lejeune, the only ones out. How is he doing just generally?
Andy's doing great, touch wood. He's had no real reaction to, what did he play, 10-15 minutes at Leicester and played something like half an hour last weekend and trained all week again. So the more we can keep training him, the more the ankle stays good, then great. So far, so good.
And just finally, from me, DeAndre Yedlin, another player you've got back over the past couple of
Yeah,
weeks.
we're a bit disappointed there. He's been out such a long time. I couldn't understand why he didn't play in the first game, but he's played 70 minutes on Tuesday. Unfortunately, they got beat, but he came in yesterday. He seems okay. Obviously, we'll have another look at him this morning, but hopefully he'll be all right.
Steve, I suppose mindset's all important when you go to these away games against top 6. So how important has it been to have the international break with everybody with a sort of, if you like, a positive mindset after that?
Well, I mean, the most difficult thing, of course, after internationals is we only got 2 of them back yesterday. So you're hoping that they're okay. You know, the 2 of them just did a recovery session, especially DeAndre, who's been the other end of the world. So that's always a bit of a frustration that you haven't got them all week in lead up to it. But look, we know that we're going to play Chelsea. So if we're going to go and get anything from the game, we have to play well. It's as simple as that. So hopefully we've got a freshness about us, which you obviously need. And Chelsea are playing very well at the minute, very, very well. I think they've won the last 4. So we'll look forward to the challenge.
And while Frank's hand has been slightly forced by the transfer embargo in terms of sort of playing youngsters, we've seen from the Matty Longstaff case just what youngsters playing for the shirt with a lot of.
Well, I think that's a big.
To the family.
I think that's a big problem that the whole of the Premier League suffers. Really, is we've got some very, very good young players. All of us have got young players, of course, and it's the introduction of them that what we're not maybe seeing enough of, because of the success and the great players that the Premier League has. Maybe we don't give our youngsters a good enough platform. So I think, you know, Chelsea, whether they've been forced into it or Frank has preferred that way anyway, it's good to see the young players of today in the country getting the chance, because sometimes they're not given the opportunity. You see a lot of them on loan, and it's good to see that tomorrow Big Joe's only 22, you know, the 2 Longstaffs are 19 and 21. Chelsea have got their sprinkling too, which is only good to see.
And do you think if managers didn't feel under so much sort of time pressure to get success, that they would perhaps have, if you like, more courage or just to take a gamble?
I think with all of us, it's have they got the ability and the temperament to handle it? That's the big key to a young player. And there's nothing better when one comes off for you, and you can, for the whole of the club too. You know, we spend a lot of money and time and effort in the academy, so the academy players have got to see a way through too. If you're 13, 14, can they be the next one? So it's a vital part that if you're going to have, you know, these academies, which we all have, then can we get a way through for the young players, which I think is vitally important for any football club, particularly this one.
You mentioned Lejeune and Richie. Is there a timescale on?
I haven't put any real timescale, but they're there or thereabouts. They're thereabouts. So I would think maybe the next 2-3 weeks we could see them all hopefully be okay.
And if you could get your full squad fit, I mean, you've probably got that small window of stability before then everybody starts speculating about January again.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I haven't even spoke about January because I haven't seen what I've really got just yet. You know, as I said last week, 2 or 3 of them joined in training and who I hadn't seen play before. So, you know, we look at January and we will get that when it comes to it. We'll start planning, of course, in the next couple of weeks, but always January is a difficult window, so we'll see what's out there. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Any more? Thank you. Thank you. You all right? Huh? I enjoy you that much. Marvellous.